and I'll begin by just reading out her bio. So Dr. Meeran was an IPS officer for 36 years. She has been the recipient of the President of India Police Medal for Distinguished Services and Police Medal for Meritorious Services, and has won the Distinguished Leadership Award from the University of Minnesota. Some of the posts she held included being the Director General of the Bureau of Police Research and Development and the National Crime Records Bureau. She's also been the Police Commissioner, Pune City, and the Chief of the Crime Branch, Mumbai. Dr. Meeran was Maharashtra State's first female district police chief, as well as its first woman commissioner. Dr. Meeran is on the board of several academic institutions. Madam Commissioner is her third book. So this is the book. And the earlier two were called Leaves of Life and Inspector Chowgle, True Police Stories. So, Meeran Madam, you have written an extremely absorbing and interesting autobiography. I found it, there were new...
Can it be called a careerography? Careerography. I have not touched my personal life in this.
Yeah.
It's only about my career.
Right. So, it's about her career. And this has been published by Pan Macmillan, and it's doing well. So the book details Meeran Madam's experiences as she handled communal riots, faced dacoits, criminals and robbers, came across brutal murders, investigated the Jalgaon sex scandal, where minors had been gang raped by politicians, businessmen, professionals and criminals. She oversaw the hanging of 26/11 terrorist Ajmal Kasab and the 1993 Bombay blast convicted Yaqub Memon. So, Madam, my first question to you is, after such a hectic career, do you miss all the excitement and tension now that you're retired?
Yeah, it's difficult to reconcile to a day with no routine. I do miss the routine. That's very important, that one should have some kind of getting up in the morning and to go somewhere, and that somewhere should be meaningful. So that part I really miss, yeah.
So in this book, there are numerous anecdotes. But I came across a quote which was very stunning. I'm going to read out that quote. So, I have seen police officers run away from violent riots, deserting their colleagues and seniors. I have witnessed their panic and overreaction to mob fury. I have witnessed our senior officers not reporting or misreporting their locations to avoid going to spots of violence. This is the underbelly of the police that sometimes comes to the fore during grave and violent public disorder events. So, Meeran Madam, this is a very amazing to know about this, because we have read a lot of books on crime, like S. Hussain Zaidi has written many books. She is probably the first senior police officer who's highlighted this aspect. Can you tell us something more about this?
So actually, I was not aware that I would be one of the first ones to talk about it. Within the police circles, we know, and citizens also must know, when there are violent riots, after all, it's a human being wearing a uniform, whether it's a man or a woman. So I have in the book discussed a case where when I reached, it was in Chembur and Nehru Nagar area, and there was really hugely violent riot, and a guy in uniform, our constable, he fainted in front of me because he had fired 16 rounds in the air, which meant he had overreacted. In the same case, DCP Zone 5 did not report on the spot because he said he could not find the spot. Just imagine where about 70 rounds had been fired. There's a huge violence, and the DCP says that I could not find the spot. That's a guy who did not report. This is a guy who overreacted by firing 16 rounds. And mind you, the DCP was transferred the very next day. So this does happen, and citizens must understand when you read the newspaper and you say, "Arey, wo to bhag gaya." You can't visualize the kind of violence we face. So I would say, yes, a few officers, few constables run away, but 95% of us stand there. And when you do the postmortem of the event, that is sitting in your rooms, having a cup of coffee, or maybe sitting in an AC room, discussing that. So what I know as a police officer of 36 years, I wanted to share the reality as it is with my readers, therefore, in this book.
Okay, very good. I have to read out one more quote, which many of us might have experienced firsthand. Some of us exploit the uniform to violate the basic human rights of citizens. These sadists need to be weeded out at the earliest. They harass and torture poor and marginalized citizens, but bend over backwards to please the powerful. This breed exists at all strata of the police hierarchy, but more so at the field level. Now, this is one of the most direct sentences I've read from a senior police officer. Can you again elaborate on this?
This I am sure most citizens are aware of. That's why you shy away from visiting the police station, and especially the women and poor people. So actually what I generally wonder is that a person who joins police at the constable is a have-not. He wears a uniform. From have-not, how he suddenly becomes an exploiter? So that surprises me. But even IPS, sometimes, most of the citizens say we get better treatment when we approach the senior officers, which means from sub-inspector up to, say, IPS level, we interact more with you. So here I would like to flag two things. One is a constable, an officer, field level officer working in the police station who becomes an exploiter. Another who is terribly overworked. Every constable in India, you're talking of Bengaluru, you please take figures from Delhi, from Pune, from Mumbai. Every constable in the country is working 14 hours a day. So one, we are overworked. Secondly, we are bad in soft skills. Now many citizens are coming forward in training us in soft skills. So an overworked constable doesn't know how to interact with the citizen within the huge burden of time load which he has. And secondly, that he does become corrupt and he does exploit. For that, yes, I have written we should weed them out. But it's very difficult in government, you know, inquiry takes long and then they are able to defend themselves. But both sides, please reduce our workload, introduce 8 hours work shift, 8 hours duty shift, you will get much better treatment in police stations. And secondly, yes, we have to be ruthless with corruption, which in India, not only in police, but in all other government departments also, we are not ruthless. We have just accepted it, and that's the tragedy.
So so many working hours means they don't have any contact with the family also, no? That plays a role.
Yeah, in fact, I think somebody should write. A lady in Maharashtra has written about the wives of police officers, how they suffer, you know, husband is not there. And when you are celebrating, this is the most known thing, you know, when you are celebrating Ganpati or Diwali or Holi. In this book, I have written twice during Dashera Bandobast. In one case, my car was burnt. And in another case, I was involved in a serious, again, a violent riot. So our families don't actually see us on festivals. And day to day, I think by the time the officers reach home, the children are already asleep.
Very sad. This is one question I wanted to ask is, you interact with Ajmal Khasab. the 26/11 terrorist, before he got hanged, you had interacted a few times. Can you tell us what sort of a person he was, and did he become a killer because of brainwashing and poverty?
So when he reached the prison, initially I am told, I was not the prison chief at that time, that he used to be very violent and he used to have continue with his lots of physical exercises. I think he never thought that he will be hanged or that he'll be caught. Having read about him, I think the terrorist organizations in Pakistan could lure him both because of his poverty and because of some false promises. And by the time I started interacting with him, I have written, he wouldn't reply to me. He would just smile. And at the time of hanging, and we will not discuss any more about this, I felt it was a child terrorist.
Oh, that's interesting.
He
Basically,
had lost so much weight, he was...
but is there any way you would know whether he had any regrets about what he did and all that? No, no?
I wouldn't like to discuss any further about
okay.
hangings.
Okay, how do people gravitate to becoming criminals? Is it genes, an enabling environment, or a broken family?
So genes, definitely not. My experience is that, yes, environment, the company, especially the young boys. And in Mumbai, we used to have a program for for the first offenders, because they stray into the world of crime because of mainly the company. And I must share with you, when I became a DCP in Dharavi and I've written about it, I thought Dharavi, the biggest slum in the country, would be infested with crime. It was not. I don't think it is poverty which is leading to crime as much as the environment, and definitely not the genes.
Okay, so this is a question which all police officers face. What sort of pressure do you face from politicians?
My latest thought after writing this book is, can we have democracy without politicians? No, seriously. If we can decide online what do we want, like the lady earlier said, traffic is a main issue. Why should we have, they have literally become the middlemen, you know, the brokers. I wrote to the head of the political science department in Pune University, Suhas Palshikar sir. He writes quite a bit in Indian Express. He said, no, there is no scope of having democracy without politicians.
Yeah. Okay, what was your way of tackling the intense stress of your job?
So the job, I think we are also going to encourage youngsters to join police. So I think remaining rooted in family, I used to have 2 breaks. One 10 days a break, I'm from Punjab, allotted to Maharashtra cadre. Every year I would go to Punjab. And one 2 or 3 weeks when we would have family reunion in December. So remaining rooted in family, and not getting obsessed either with your position or with your job. Keeping it in proper perspective, giving it due importance, but also not forgetting you have many other roles. That helped me. And I am a compulsive walker. Walk is the time when I rejuvenate myself.
Okay, so you have seen the negative side of human nature. Has it made you lose faith in human beings?
Not at all. In fact, whenever I think of my book, I'm feeling a little apprehensive. It's always about positive thinking. And I just can't think negative. And my job has shown me so much of positive content of human life that negative is only once a while. You can't wish away the negative either in an individual or in our lives. But broadly, it is positive to very positive.
Next question is, what has been your most unforgettable experience in your career? One of your great
I'm-
memories, your great memories.
I'm asked this quite a few times, but I'm not able to identify. I enjoyed my 36 years so much that they went away in a blink. So the whole career, all the youngsters, please join IPS.
Okay, how do people change after a long stint in prison?
So this also I have covered in my book. Uh, Citizens must know that only 30% of our prison inmates are going to be there for a long duration. They are the convicts. 70% are under trials. So these 30% have a very good routine. Morning prayer, evening prayer, beach mein we encourage them to do carpentry, to plumbing. They learn various things, uh, leather work and all, and they earn about 2,000 rupees when I was the chief. Now we keep increasing their payment. Some of them even send that money back home. So the family thinks as if they are working in Pune or Nagpur or Mumbai. And by the time they leave the prison, I feel they have developed very strong bonding within the prisons. There is a very strong feeling of, and positive feeling of, enriching feeling of community within the prison. And most of them are from rural areas. They go back and they merge. Before releasing them, we also put them in open prisons where they go back to agriculture. So I think getting absorbed in the community is not very difficult, though I don't rule out some people, pointing out to them. And most of these criminals, they are basically unable to handle their emotions. In the outbursts of emotion, they have committed some crime. Less than 5% are habitual criminals. So these 95% do not find it difficult to adjust and accommodate. And this 5% is so dangerous. I have mentioned a case where one criminal of Mumbai, he just gets out and again he will break a house or he will break a shop. And when I was interrogating him, why did you break open the Joy Aluka's jewelry shop in Hyderabad? How did you get information about that? He said, "अरे मैडम येरोडा जेल में जब आर्थर रोड जेल में जब था तो वहाँ पे एक हैदराबाद का भी आरोपी था." So they are restless. These 5% are very dangerous. They are restless. They go out and they commit another crime. And वो उसको ये भी पता है कि अरे मैडम आप तो अभी क्राइम ब्रांच की चीफ है ना. He tells me that. And I have also mentioned in my book, when we talk of human rights, when we talk surveillance versus privacy of an individual, citizens should think of these habitual criminals, whether it's their human rights or your safety, whether it's their privacy or your property. We have to weigh that.